Ladies and gentlemen, the following segment of the podcast is presented exclusively by the Heritage Foundation. For 52 years, Heritage has fought tirelessly for America's founding principles and advancing conservative public policies. Much more than a think tank, Heritage is a conservative policy powerhouse, fighting for the everyday American to advance common sense policies and dismantle the D.C. bureaucracy. Our founding fathers gave us an extraordinary system of government, and the Heritage Foundation is dedicated to defending the heritage and carrying on their legacy for future generations. So get involved by completing their national survey on President Trump's agenda by visiting heritage.org/Levin. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Great Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
America, Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Well, first things first here. There's been a tragic helicopter accident in New York City in the Hudson. What we know is the crash occurred around 3:17 p.m. Eastern Time. The helicopter, according to witnesses, literally broke in half before it hit the ground. You could see the video, hit the water, that is. You could see the video. It's tumbling. It had taken off around 3, so very quickly after it took off, it's a Bell 206 model, which they say is widely used in commercial and government aviation. The water was about 45 degrees temperature. 4 people were dead on the scene. 2 were taken to hospitals and died of their injuries. There was a pilot and 5 passengers, and those 5 passengers were of one family, 2 adults and 3 children. And that is all we know. And so I'm not going to keep looping this, but we're going to keep monitoring it. I am, and Mr. Producer will. And when we have more information, I will present it to you. Apparently, it was a family from Spain. And these are sort of tourist helicopter rides that people take. They're not very long. I've never taken one, but family members have. To get a really good view of Manhattan, which is really, when you look at it in a helicopter, they say it's really quite incredible. But for these people, they just didn't make it. So I feel like we're seeing more and more of these things. I don't quite understand it over the last year or so. They write here, does AP, over the years there have been multiple crashes, including a collision between a plane and a tourist helicopter over the Hudson. 2009 killed 9 people. 2018, the crash of a charter helicopter offering open-door flights that went down into the East River, killing 5 people. A medical transport plane killed 7 people when it plummeted into Philadelphia, northeast Philadelphia. You remember seeing that one? That plane, as I recall, was registered in, I think it was Spain, actually. But, so there's this. And also, I don't know what the hell's going on at Reagan National Airport, but you've got two planes, their wings clipped. You had members of Congress on board the one of the planes, apparently, and the collision happened at around 12:45 p.m. today. One plane clipped the wing of a second aircraft preparing to take off, but one of them was at the gate, for crying out loud. That was the early report. Now I'm reading that, no, actually, they were on the runway. New York Representative Nick Lalata, who was on Flight 4522 to JFK, one of the planes was headed to JFK, said the plane he was on was parked when another jet suddenly struck its wing while taxiing. New York Democratic Representative Grace Meng replied, "Glad my colleagues and I are okay. We are safely waiting on the tarmac, but we may need more snacks." He also shared a photo from his window showing the other aircraft stopped on the tarmac just feet away. The wingtip of the American Airlines Flight 5490 struck American Airlines Flight 4522 on a taxiway at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport around 12:45 local time. Flight 5490, Bombardier CRJ 900, was headed to Charleston International Airport in South Carolina. Flight 4522 was headed to JFK International Airport in New York. That is all we know. There were 76 customers, 4 crew members on the flight to Charleston, and that's it. That's all we know about that. And the tragic helicopter crash just a couple hours ago. I've told you everything we know, everything that's been reported by the mayor and the police on the ground, everything that's being reported by the media. That's what we know. It's a 3-hour program. As we know more, I will certainly pass that on to you. And again, we will be monitoring it. That's what we do when we have breaking news and breaking events here. We cover them. And, of course, it's very sad. It's always sad, but it's very sad. Now, this is breaking news on the judge front. A federal judge just allowed the requirement that everyone in the United States illegally must register to move forward. The AP reports a federal judge is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with a requirement that everyone in the U.S. illegally must register with the federal government in a move that could have far-reaching repercussions for immigrants across the country. No, far-reaching repercussions for illegal aliens across the country. In a ruling today, Judge Trevor Neal McFadden sided with the administration, which had argued that they were simply enforcing an already existing requirement for everyone in the country who wasn't an American citizen to register with the government. And that requirement goes into effect tomorrow. The Department of Homeland Security announced February 25 that it was mandating all people in the United States illegally register with the federal government, and said those who didn't self-report could face fines or prosecution, and failure to register is considered a crime. People will be required to carry registration documents with them or risk prison time and fine. Yeah, this was standard operating procedure when I was in the Reagan administration. Now you actually have to go to court to enforce an existing law, because Biden burned all the immigration laws. He burned them to smithereens. Registration will be mandatory for everyone 14 and older without legal status. Right, that's the way it's supposed to be. People registering have to provide their fingerprints, address. They're trying to make it sound like it's a concentration camp. This is the law. Under Democrats and Republicans. Voted for by Democrats and Republicans. Previously enforced by Democrat and Republican presidents. Federal immigration laws long required that people who aren't American citizens and live in the U.S., including those here illegally, register with the government. Now that's down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 paragraphs. Those laws can be traced back to the Alien Registration Act of 1940. You know who was president in 1940? Franklin Roosevelt, which came amid growing fears of immigrants and political subversives in the early days of World War II. Gee, we don't have any terrorist concerns today, do we? The current requirements stem from the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952. But the requirements that people illegally in the U.S. register has been enforced only in rare circumstances. So here we are, the AP. Only in rare circumstances, except when they weren't rare circumstances a few decades back, when everybody was required to do so. So we have one law that the administration's using from 1789, and they say it's too old. We have another law that's not from 1789, but under Franklin Roosevelt's administration, and what do they say? Well, it's not always enforced. It's not always enforced, so here we have Trump enforcing the law. So they can't accuse him of not enforcing the law. Now they're accusing him of enforcing the law. Then we have this from Reuters, Boston. A federal judge said she will block President Trump's administration on Thursday from revoking the temporary legal status of hundreds of thousands of Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans in the United States. These are people who came into the country during the Biden regime and were given a free pass. U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani in Boston said the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, their decision to cut short a 2-year parole granted to the migrants under Trump's Democrat predecessor Joe Biden was based on an incorrect reading of the law. The judge, an appointee of Barack Obama, said the administration wanted to expose about 450,000 people to expedited deposition effective April 24, based on a wrong interpretation of the statute. She said the law focused on people who illegally cross the border and providing a means to remove them on an expedited basis, not individuals who were granted permission to enter the United States under a grant of parole. I think these are the people who Biden flew into the country, if I'm not mistaken. And so that will be appealed, as all this stuff has to be appealed. So President of the United States is not allowed to secure the border. He's only allowed to open the border and allow all kinds of people into the country. In fact, bring them into the country illegally. Then confer a parole status on them, which he shouldn't be doing either. And then the president incoming, because the American people have had enough of it and have voted against what this prior administration did. But we have an Obama judge who says no. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, 450,000, give or take, from the third world, Cuba, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans, they get to stay for the 2-year period. And so that will have to be appealed as well. So there we are on the judge front. Have you ever had so much news about these federal district judges in your life? Because it's all an inside-outside game, that's why. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Listen, folks, if you're like me, you're passionate about protecting our American values. That's why I trust the Heritage Foundation. They're dedicated to promoting policies based on free enterprise, limited government, and traditional American values. The Heritage Foundation does more than just produce policy recommendations. They're mobilizing conservatives across the country. And right now, they need you to take action by completing their national survey on President Trump's agenda. Your responses to this survey will help guide Heritage leadership as they work closely with folks in Washington to promote your values, secure America's borders, and restore our freedoms. Here's what I want you to do. Visit heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN to complete your survey. It's very, very important. My friends at Heritage need you to act now to help them maximize the impact on President Trump's first 100 days. Heritage is committed to preserving our founding fathers' principles and ensuring that America remains a beacon of freedom and opportunity. So I know you won't sit on the sidelines. You'll get involved, please, today, and make your voice heard. Visit heritage.org/Levin. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Please complete your survey today. That's heritage.org/LEVIN, paid for by the Great Heritage Foundation. Douglas Murray absolutely mopped the floor with Joe Rogan today. I think it was today. I watched the interview, and it wasn't hard. He's a brilliant man, Douglas Murray, but it wasn't hard because when you're going to give commentary that's based on a very perverse view, very one-sided perverse view by individuals who are not really studied or knowledgeable about the subject, but are basically wrapping their ideology in a position and just throwing it out there without challenge, in fact, with open support, it's really not hard to debate that sort of thing. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, I can't get people on the show to debate me. I'm not interested in the Lilliputians. I'm interested in the big boys and the big girls. I can't get Bernie Sanders on this program. I can't get Chuck Schumer on this program. I can't get AOC on this program. I can't get Jamie Raskin on this program. I'd be more than happy to have them on the program and have a real live debate with them. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And in case of Schumer, I mean, I've been in WABC, how many years, Rich? Something like 24 years or something. It's something like that. And it's not because, well, Mark, you're this, you're that. No, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to go to a territory where he's actually challenged in a very significant way. And we find this all the time. We even find it among rhinos, Republicans in name only. They won't come on. They'll go on shows, where they pat them on the head, and you'll say, well, they're treated with respect. No, that's not it. There's some truly substantive differences. And that includes between the radio hosts and podcasters and so forth. I mean, Douglas Murray absolutely mopped the floor with Joe Rogan and his comedian friend. Because I don't care how big your audience is, you really do need to be informed about these subjects. I don't mean ideologically informed. I mean informed about these subjects. And unfortunately, too many of these people are not. Well, what about you, Mark? Well, I've been there too, and have gone to Israel. And we've spoken to a ton of people, friend and foe alike. But it's not just that. It's that you need to know what books to study, what people to really invest your mind and your time in. Not these weird, conspiracy theorists, this cabal of ideologues and so forth. That's not going to get you anywhere. That doesn't teach you a damn thing. Nothing. Zero. So I'm not putting down anybody. I'm just explaining the way it is. There's a reason why Douglas Murray writes brilliant books, because he's a brilliant man and he knows his subjects. There's a reason why my books are number one, because of you, because I know my subjects. Spend a ton of time digging into it. If you have real knowledge, not ideology, not, shoot from the hip crap, not weirdo guests and that sort of stuff. If you have real knowledge, you want to convey it, you go to a certain place. If you want to be entertained and you're very superficial things or even outrageous, even vile things, then you know where to go for that too. By the way, when we come back after the bottom of the hour, I'm going to do something I really thought long and hard about, seriously. And that is an opening statement I had on Life, Liberty, and Levin about Joe Biden and his dementia. There are books and books and books coming out from so-called journalists who help cover up what took place. And I want you to hear this from June of last year. This was before the debate. This was before they pulled Joe Biden's ticket. And it was at a time when even my fellow conservatives were very careful about how they would address Biden's dementia. Mostly they mocked it. Mostly they made fun of him. And I thought it was time to really take it on in a significant way. When I first mentioned that I thought Biden had dementia like 3 years ago, and I was on our favorite cable network, I was the only one to do it, and they were a little concerned about it, Mr. Producer. They didn't say yes, they didn't say no, it was all cool, but they were a little concerned about the reaction of the public. Look, I call them as I see them, based on what I know, my own experience, my own desire to gather as much knowledge as I can about every subject I discuss on this program. We'll be right back. Folks, I need to talk to you about something crucial to the future of America. Our friends at the Heritage Foundation are on the front lines fighting for our conservative values. Heritage is dedicated to promoting policies that will help bolster our economy, protect our borders, and uphold the rule of law. They're working tirelessly to defend our Constitution and the principles that make America exceptional. To help accomplish this, they need you to complete their national survey on President Trump's agenda today. So you can participate in this survey by going to heritage.org/Levin. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Your responses are crucial to this survey, and they'll provide Heritage leadership with crucial feedback as they work closely with the folks in Washington to promote your values, secure America's borders, and restore our freedoms. By completing this very important survey today, you're standing up for the values that have made this country great. And my friends at Heritage need you to act now to maximize their impact on President Trump's first 100 days. So please don't wait. Our future depends on you. Together, we can make a difference, and future generations inherit a nation that is free, prosperous, and strong. So please, right now, visit heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN, complete your survey, and join the fight for America's future. That's heritage.org/Levin, paid for by the Great Heritage Foundation.
You've heard of Lady Liberty? Well, this is Mr. Liberty, the Mark Levin Show. Call him now at 877-381-3811.
I strongly encourage you to get On Democracies and Death Cults by Douglas Murray. You can get it on Amazon.com. It's a killer book. It's an absolutely fantastic book. Now, what we're going to do is something unusual. We're going to play my discussion from June of 2024, before the infamous debate between Biden and Trump, and my plea to the Biden family, my plea to the American people that this man should not be president of the United States. So let's take a listen. Let's tap in. Cut one, go.
We see Joe Biden. We see how he walks. We see how he stares. We see how he gets angry and how he cringes. This issue of dementia is a serious issue. I should know. I've had 2 people in my family who've had Alzheimer's and 1 who had moderate dementia. It's not funny. It's very upsetting. It's depressing. To watch somebody deteriorate like this, and in the early stages, they know they're deteriorating. And then how the family has to care for the person, wants to care for the person. It's not funny. You've never heard me do jokes about Joe Biden and dementia. Oh, I'll make jokes about him on other things, but not that. And Potter Stewart said about pornography once, I know it when I see it. I know dementia when I see it. I think I speak maybe not for all, but for many people, many families who've seen this. The telltale signs. It's not a mystery when somebody's deteriorating. Everybody gets old and they have memory issues. They'll forget a name here and there. They'll mix things up. That's to be expected. That's not what we're talking about here. And this is why I'm so disgusted that Joe Biden is running for president, wants him to run for president, that the people around him are like a Praetorian Guard pretending he's as sharp as a tack, that the American media are playing along, in fact, playing defense. It's the United States of America. We're talking about the President of the United States. We're talking about one branch of government that controls whether we go to war or not and what type of weapons we use, among 1,000 other things. You see men in the past, healthy men, in their 50s. You've seen what the presidency does to them. We're the greatest country on the face of the earth, and we are facing China, Russia, North Korea, Iran. We have issues going on in this country that are ripping us apart. You can see what's going on our streets, the crime, the drugs, the anti-Semitism. It's not good enough for a president to do well in a debate or do well in a State of the Union speech, and everybody says, see, he was great for 90 minutes, he was great for an hour, he was great. Many people who have dementia or Alzheimer's, early stages, can do that sort of thing. That is, you look at them and you say, actually, they're doing okay. But they're not doing okay. The job of a president is 24/7. There's a reason Joe Biden has taken vacation 40% of his presidency. There's a reason why he won't have give and take. Because he's not well. Again, I'm not saying that as a joke. He's not well. People have heart disease. I do. People have diabetes. People have all kinds of things. And people have mental health issues. And it's not funny. But it is utterly unconscionable and irresponsible for the largest political party in this country to be nominating somebody for president who they nominated before when he wasn't well, when the vast majority of its members know damn well that what I'm saying is the truth. And the hosts in every news organization in America know what I'm saying is the truth. And the people who've met with him, Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, who go out and lie for him, they know I'm telling the truth. We have a report from the special counsel, Robert Hur, who was investigating Joe Biden for crimes related to classified information. And he found that he committed crimes. And he did so willfully under the Espionage Act. And didn't do so with presidential protection. He did so when he was a from their campaign operatives, from the media. But the man speaking the truth, he didn't have an issue with Biden as president or being president. He had an issue when he interviewed him for 5 hours. And we have an Attorney General of the United States who will not release the audio. We, the people, we have a right to hear the audio, especially now when we're making a decision about the presidency. When we see what we see and we hear what we hear, we want the audio. He comes up with some kind of cockamamie privilege. He goes over to the White House. Only a president can assert privilege. Biden asserts privilege to protect his audio. This is a sham. They don't want transparency. The special counsel said Mr. Biden's memory was significantly limited, both during the recorded interviews with the ghostwriter in 2017 and in his interview with our office in 2023. These aren't national security secrets, the audio. The argument that, well, it could affect other investigations, how preposterous. Anybody remember the release of grand jury testimony from Bill Clinton with the cigar? Was that a national security secret? They come up with these lies. He also said, we have also considered that at trial, Mr. Biden will likely present himself to a jury, as he did during our interview of him, as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. That's not good enough for President of the United States. We had a report out of the Wall Street Journal by Annie Linsky and Siobhan Hughes. Now, these two have come under withering attack. They're not Trump supporters. They're reporters. Reporters tend to be Biden supporters. They're liberals, I'm sure. I don't know. But they're under attack because they dared to write an article, behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. Participants in meetings said the 81-year-old president performed poorly at times. The White House said Biden is sharp and his critics are playing partisan politics. No, the Democrats are going to run somebody for president. How is this partisan politics? Well, he's going to be the nominee. That's the problem. When President Biden met with congressional leaders in the West Wing in January to negotiate a Ukrainian funding deal, he spoke so softly at times that some participants struggled to hear him, according to 5 people familiar with the meeting. He read from notes to make obvious points, paused for extended periods of time, sometimes closed his eyes for so long that some in the room wondered whether he had tuned out. Now, it goes on, and of course, it has the White House pushing back. It has the White House calling people they interviewed to tell them to call the Wall Street Journal back and tell them, actually, it wasn't as we thought. This is a scam. The Democrat Party is running a man for president who shouldn't be president. Who shouldn't be president. We have a 25th Amendment to the Constitution. Section 4 of the Constitution requires the Vice President of the United States and the Cabinet to care more about the country than they do their own party in power. But we don't have a Vice President and a Cabinet who care more about the country than their own party and their own power. What does it say? Whenever the Vice President, a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body of Congress may by law provide, transmit to the President pro tem of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting President. And it goes on to say the President can push back, provide a letter to Congress, and then Congress has to take the subject up, and by a supermajority can make the decision on whether or not the President is fit or not. That's a serious constitutional amendment. It's in the Constitution. It's the 25th Amendment. But Kamala Harris and that cabinet wouldn't dare do that. But they should, but they won't. So that part of the 25th Amendment is a dead letter, which, by the way, as a footnote, is a reason why Congress needs the audio, to take a listen to it and make a determination whether we needed another amendment or fix this amendment, because what's going on right now is unacceptable for a great republic. It's just unacceptable for a great republic. And 100 years from now, assuming this republic still exists, they're going to wonder, who the hell were these citizens who voted like this? Or this corrupt media, the corrupt Democrat Party. But history's too late. This needs to be dealt with now. Now, what am I talking about? Again, in all seriousness, and of course I'll come under attack. I don't care. The truth is the truth. There's 7 stages of dementia. Verywellmind.com is just one of many, many sites, medical, that point this out. And dementia progresses in stages ranging from mild to severe. Isn't it amazing we haven't had this discussion any time in the last 5 years on any network? Because they try to intimidate us. This needs to be discussed. It needs to be analyzed. It needs to be vetted with the American people. We need to know as much as we can. And I'm not going to cover this up. 7 stages of dementia. And so, the first stage is no cognitive decline. At this stage, the person is able to function normally and doesn't exhibit any signs of memory loss, confusion, or cognitive impairment. However, the structure and functioning of their brain may have started to deteriorate as the nerve cells, the neurons in their brain start to lose connection with other brain cells and die. Okay, people can function that way. Stage 2, very mild cognitive decline. The person starts to experience occasional lapses of memory, such as forgetting where they keep familiar everyday objects, forgetting names they once knew very well. At this stage, the symptoms are unlikely to affect the person's work or social interactions. We know a lot of elderly people who have this problem. Okay, fine. Most of them aren't president, by the way. Stage 3, mild cognitive decline. Now it gets more serious. This is the stage where cognitive impairment starts to become more noticeable to the patient, as well as their friends, family members, and colleagues. The person may start to show symptoms such as getting lost while walking or driving, particularly in unfamiliar places, reading something and retaining very little of it, forgetting the names of people they've just met, losing items of importance or value, having trouble concentrating and performing complex tasks, experiencing increasing difficulty in social settings, and so forth. Stage 4, moderate cognitive decline. In this stage, the person will exhibit a definitive decline in cognitive ability in a clinical interview. Lack of knowledge of current and recent events, difficulty remembering parts of their own personal history. We have that in the HER report. Trouble with organizing, planning, traveling, and managing finances. And it goes on. Stage 5, moderately severe cognitive decline. From this stage onward, the person may no longer be able to function without some assistance. Some of the symptoms: difficulty recalling an important detail, such as their address, phone number, or high school. or the date of their son's death, or when they were vice president, I would add. Disorientation in terms of place and time, such as confusion regarding the season, date, day of the week, or time of the day, or mixing up names of people, or turning in the wrong direction and staring into the sky. And other problems like trouble with making decisions. At this stage, the person can likely still remember their own name and the names of their spouse and children, but they may struggle with recalling the names of their grandchildren. They may be able to eat and use the bathroom without assistance, but may need help with tasks such as deciding what to wear and so forth. Stage 6, severe cognitive decline. And stage 7, I don't think the president is at stage 6 or 7. I think he's heading there, and he's heading there very quickly. If I had to guess, he's likely well into stage 5. I don't know. But Jill knows. His doctor knows. The experts out there know. And we, the people, need to learn more about the cognitive state of the President of the United States, and they need to stop playing cat and mouse with us. This is about the country and the future of the country. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm back live. Now tell me something, America. 14 minutes without interruption. How is it possible for anybody in the media to have listened or watched that and then write books about how there was a cover-up by the media and a cover-up by his staff? Now, there were 1,000 examples, pieces of evidence what were taking place. But there it was put together, crystallized, like a laser, explained to millions of people on Fox by me, even went into the stages of dementia. And they still were going to nominate him for president had that debate not occurred. They were still going to do it. So these media types and others who say, you know, the media covered up and so forth, the people writing the books covered up. They all covered up. It was the greatest scam against the American people in American history. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Listen, folks, if you're like me, you're passionate about protecting our American values. That's why I trust the Heritage Foundation. They're dedicated to promoting policies based on free enterprise, limited government, and traditional American values. The Heritage Foundation does more than just produce policy recommendations. They're mobilizing conservatives across the country. And right now, they need you to take action by completing their national survey on President Trump's agenda. Your responses to this survey will help guide Heritage leadership as they work closely with folks in Washington to promote your values, secure America's borders, and restore our freedoms. Here's what I want you to do. Visit heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN to complete your survey. It's very, very important. My friends at Heritage need you to act now to help them maximize the impact on President Trump's first 100 days. Heritage is committed to preserving our Founding Fathers' principles and ensuring that America remains a beacon of freedom and opportunity. So I know you won't sit on the sidelines. You'll get involved, please, today, and make your voice heard. Visit heritage.org/Levin. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Please complete your survey today. That's heritage.org/LEVIN, paid for by the Great Heritage Foundation. So I played that about Biden just because all these books, all these interviews, they're just going on all these television platforms and network platforms, on cable platforms, podcast and radio platforms. I'm not interviewing any of these authors. That whole so-called profession of journalism, which really isn't a profession anymore of any kind, they covered up. They wanted the man nominated. They wanted him elected. And but for the debate, God knows what the hell would have happened. We'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. By the way, we're going to have a killer show Saturday and Sunday night on Life, Liberty, and Levin, 8 p.m. Eastern. And Saturday, we really delve into China with Michael Pillsbury and Iran with our buddy Zuhdi Jasser. And my opening is about tariffs, taxes, the economy, and much more. I know you're going to love it. And we have a fabulous show on Sunday, too, with Charles Payne. And you may remember the retired detective from Plano, Texas area. And we're going to get into that issue of that mosque and so forth, that community that is wanting to be built. Parts of it are built, and at least alert the nation of what's taking place there. And the opening is going to be brilliant as well. So I hope you'll set your DVRs right now. It's 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. We definitely want to have you. We do these programs for you. And now, something important happened, and that is that the House and Senate finally got together, and they're going to pass this one big, beautiful bill. Does it cut enough spending? No, it does not. But there's a promise made, an open promise by John Thune, the Republican leader, the majority leader of the Senate, who said that they will get to the $1.5 trillion or more in spending cuts. But they've got to get moving on these tax cuts now. In other words, right now they have to get this tax cut bill in there, and they'll work out all the other issues later. And let's hope that happens. We'll be here to help hold their feet to the fire. But this needed to be done, and this needed to be done today, right now, to get this Trump one big beautiful bill passed. And it has more than issues related to taxes and spending in that regard. That is the debt. It's got all kinds of provisions in there about securing the border and doing things that we want done. And so essentially this is President Trump's bill that includes the things that he promised and got elected on in a landslide. And so it was crucial that it get done. Now, Mike Johnson has proved himself to be a remarkable leader because there were a group of people who weren't going to support this, but they have decided to support it for the reasons I'm stating. You got to get these things done now. Now. Especially the tax cuts. You got to get the tax cuts done now and get them in place and build the economy so you folks and other people fill it in their pockets. So the nation can proceed, prosper, and grow. And the Republicans don't get blown out in the next election, and then God knows what the hell's going to happen. So here is Mike Johnson after this budget resolution vote on Capitol Hill today. It's called the SAVE Act. Let's hear what he has to say about it. Cut 7, go.
Good day in the House. I told you not to doubt us. The media always does. The Democrats always do. But we get the job done, and we're really grateful to have had the big victory on the floor just now. It was a big one, a very important one. Quick recap, just on a busy week in Washington, we got a lot of important things done for the American people this week. We passed the SAVE Act today, as you know, and that ensures that you got to have identification. You have to prove your identity because only U.S. citizens should vote and decide U.S. elections. It's already in federal law, but there's no mechanism currently to ensure that that law is always followed. And this measure, the SAVE Act, will help make sure that is true. We passed the No Rogue Rulings Act, which, as you know, will limit the ability of activist, liberal, in this case federal judges, to issue injunctions that will stop a president's policies nationwide. That has been wildly abused against President Trump, and the Congress had an obligation and responsibility, I think, to step in and make sure that we bring that under control. We also repealed some very damaging Biden-era regulations again this week, and we'll continue that work. But the big news today, of course, is that we passed the budget resolution. We adopted the Senate's amendments to the resolution, holding in place all of the commitments and the instructions, the guidelines that the House originally enacted. And that was a big step because that will allow us now to move forward to have our committees actually drafting the one big beautiful bill. There's a lot of work ahead of us, and we're really excited about that.
So this is a big damn bill, and it's very, very important, and I'm glad they got it done. By the way, I should have mentioned it, in hour 3, we're going to have America's Governor Ron DeSantis on at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time as well. So this is very important, what took place. And the Democrats are really dumbfounded that these things are getting done. They're dumbfounded about what's happening in the executive branch. You have a president who's actually trying to do the things he promised that he would do. And this whole tariff issue, I'm going to discuss it at great length. I have this week. I'm going to discuss it at great length on Saturday night's Life, Liberty, and Levin as well. And let me give you a little peek into this. Now, you know what? Let me wait, because if I discuss it here, then it's picked up and somebody else mentioned it. Now, let's just wait. Maybe I'll mention some of it tomorrow for the radio audience. I'm not trying to be coy. I'm just trying to preserve what it is that I want to discuss with you so it's discussed properly. So maybe I'll just discuss some of it tomorrow. But I have a very interesting additional take on what Donald Trump has done here, as a matter of fact. Now, Hakeem Jeffries, after this budget resolution vote, of course, he's telling you that the Republicans want to destroy the economy. May I ask you a question, America? Why would the Republicans want to destroy the economy? Does it even make any sense to anybody? Why would the Republicans want to give billionaires tax cuts? Why would the Republicans want to destroy Social Security and Medicare? I just heard some Democrat Party thug go on about how, excuse me, they're going to cut Medicaid $800 million over a period of years. They're cutting people from Medicaid who shouldn't be on it, like illegal aliens and young men who are physically and mentally able to work but won't even work. The requirement is 20 hours a week in order to get Medicaid. Medicaid is for people who are poor or lower class, lower middle class, who can't afford their medical expenses. It's not for people to choose not to work, who are 28 or 34 years old, and then you and I have to subsidize them. Look how hard people work. I see it every day. We do it every day. You work hard. You put in the time. You get up in the morning. You go home at night. Some people work the night shift. And you're subsidizing people, many of whom are younger than you, stronger than you, who have every capacity to do this. I look at that. Then I look at how we subsidize people to go to college. And then we're supposed to tell them, okay, you don't have to pay off your loan. I feel like hardworking people in America are subsidizing everybody. Illegal aliens, the poor, people who choose not to work, people who go to college and get an advanced degree and choose not to pay off their loan. I mean, we can't be a country of loafers. We can't be a country of people on the dole. It's one thing if people really need help, but we're seeing all the abuses, and that's why they hate Elon Musk and this whole DOGE thing and all the rest of it, because the ugly underbelly of socialism, the welfare state, has been exposed. And the Democrats don't like it because they endorse it. So here's Hakeem Jeffries. Cut 8, go.
Donald Trump and extreme MAGA Republicans are doing everything they can to tank our...
Hold on now. Extreme MAGA Republicans who want to cut taxes, who want to cut spending, who want to cut government regulations, who want to cut a bloated government. So that makes you an extreme, make America great again Republican. Go ahead.
Economy, drive us toward a recession, and gut the health care of the American people by visiting upon them the largest Medicaid cut in history.
Well, that's because we've had the greatest abuse of Medicaid in history. Okay, folks? So they want to change the rules so they can save Medicaid. Medicaid is not an entitlement. Medicaid is a welfare program. It's not like Social Security and Medicare where you pay into those programs. Medicaid is a welfare program supposedly for poor people or people who are too poor to pay their bills. It is not intended to subsidize, as an example, healthy, mentally, physically healthy young men who won't even work 20 hours a week. And so they're talking as if the Republicans want to cut people off of Medicaid who really cannot function properly or are too old or whatever it is. That's not what's going on here, as well as illegal aliens. We already know that nearly 5 million illegal aliens have Social Security numbers. That's a disaster. That's crazy. They're getting Social Security payments. And so Medicaid is being ripped off too. And so for Hakeem Jeffries to go in front of a microphone and lie like he does, and obviously they always do this. They always do this. That they want to cut $800 million from Medicaid, and they're cutting $800 million from Medicaid, not in any one year, but over time, by rooting out the fraud, by rooting out the abuse. But they don't say that, do they? Go ahead.
Along with the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history, all in service of enacting massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors.
No, that's not what's going on, of course. Why would Republicans want to cut programs for working men and women for billionaires? Does it even make any sense if you think about it? Does it make sense to anybody? And why do Democrats want to keep subsidizing illegal aliens and people who shouldn't be receiving benefits? And the answer to that actually is understandable. Because they're trying to grow their power through government. So they don't care if people who can work don't work. They don't care if programs that are meant for the poor are helping people who are not poor. They don't care about any of this. It doesn't matter to them. They don't exist to trim or slash or cut government at all. They don't exist to reform the bureaucracy or limit the number of bureaucrats who work for the government. They don't exist for any of that. They exist for the opposite. Their power comes through the bureaucracy. The vast bureaucracy was created because of the progressive era, the end of the 1800s, the early 1900s. It was pushed hard by Woodrow Wilson, massively pushed by Franklin Roosevelt. You had a bunch of rhino Republican presidents who went along with it. Then you have a couple who are trying to stop it. Reagan tried. Trump is trying. That's what's going on. Go ahead.
Toxic scheme that they cannot hide from.
Somebody just hands him these one-liners, toxic scheme for the billionaires and all. This guy's a coward. He won't come on my show on radio. He won't even come on my show on Fox and debate me. He won't do it. Bernie Sanders won't do it. Schumer won't do it. So I think this weekend I'll call out 3 more Democrats to debate me. And maybe after that, 3 more after that. And maybe after that, 3 more after that. More than happy to do it. More than happy to talk about tax cuts for billionaires. More than happy to talk about cuts in Medicaid. Let's do it. The lies about Social Security and Medicare, but they won't do it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless that comes with a lot of fine print, like requiring you to sign up for 4 lines plus activation fees, plus. And the end of the day, you've paid for that free phone 3 times over. Pure Talk is my sponsor, my wireless company. They have a much better offer. With a qualifying plan of just $35 a month, you can get a brand new Samsung Galaxy A26 for free. Now, this phone is virtually indestructible. Gorilla Glass captures beautiful wide-angle photos with next-generation camera lenses. All you need to do is switch to Pure Talk. For just $35 a month, you get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, more than you'll ever need, with mobile hotspot, all on one of America's most dependable 5G networks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch. Again, that's puretalk.com/LEVIN to claim your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan when you switch to Pure Talk. Wireless by Americans for Americans. Elon Musk at today's cabinet meeting, a summary of waste and fraud, relevant to what we've been discussing for sure. Cut 2, go.
Well, thanks to your fantastic leadership, this amazing cabinet, and the very talented DOGE team, I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud and people getting unemployment insurance who haven't been born yet. I mean, I think anyone can appreciate whether, I mean, come on. That's just crazy. Some of these things, people ask me, like, well, how are you going to find ways forward in the government? I'm like, well, actually just go in any direction. That's how you find it. It's very common. it's as the military would say, target-rich environment.
This guy's so good.
So I think we're doing a lot of good and excellent collaboration with the cabinet to achieve these savings, and it will actually result in better services for the American people, and that we're going to be spending their tax dollars in a way that is sensible and fair and good.
Mm-hmm. And your people are fantastic. In fact, hopefully they'll stay around for the long haul. We'd like to keep as many as we can. They're great, smart, sharp, right? Finding things that nobody would have thought of. Very computer savvy.
Yes. We're working with hard to get the Trump Gold Card operational, hopefully in the next week or so.
That'll be very exciting. It's really exciting. That's a pathway to citizenship into the United States.
It's a big deal.
Yep, it's a big deal. Thank you very much.
That man deserves a Medal of Freedom. I hope President Trump gives him the Medal of Freedom. I really do. Because this man has been remarkable. He's taken a lot of crap. I mean, he has his own security force now. His business has taken a massive hit. The usual kooks, radical left-wing kooks, they're out to destroy him, as they're out to destroy the country while they go on talking about us and the president and so forth in the most demeaning ways. But I really do believe this man deserves the Medal of Freedom. I have people coming to me. You can believe this, Mr. Producer? Coming to me asking me to go to President Trump to get them a Medal of Freedom. Isn't that weird? People have they've got no circumspection. Oh, sure, I'll pick up the phone and I'll get you a Medal of Freedom. It doesn't work that way. And first of all, it's the sort of thing you get when you're not expecting, I would assume. It's not the sort of thing you should be lobbying for or asking for. I don't know. Somebody can do it for you. There's no problem with that, I suppose. But to contact somebody to say, don't you think I deserve X, Y, Z, and then another person contacts me on their behalf? No, I don't think so. I'm certainly not going to go to well for something like that, in my opinion. But crazy. People ask me to do it. I won't even get started. What they asked me to do, it's crazy. Lee Zeldin at the White House today. Cut 3, Mr. Producer. Go.
The Biden EPA was strangulating the economy. The Trump EPA understands it's not a binary choice. We can protect the environment and grow the economy. Working with DOGE and Elon Musk, we've now canceled $22 billion worth of grants, and we have launched what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country. Just in one agency, that's how much of a mess the Biden EPA left us. It is going to end up reducing the cost of living. It's going to create jobs. It's going to make it easier to purchase a car. It will be easier to heat your home. We're proud of this effort. The effort that we have is fulfilling the mandate that you earned from the American public. Clean air, land, and water for all Americans, unleashing energy dominance, permitting reform, advancing cooperative federalism, making America the AI capital of the world, and bringing back American auto jobs. When you called me that day asking for me to take this position, I was honored. And you were very specific and clear in what you wanted us to accomplish. We understand our mission, and at the Trump EPA, we're going to make it proud.
Great job.
Mm-hmm. I think they will. I think they've done a fantastic job. I mean, have any of you ever seen anything like this before? I've never seen anything like this before. When we come back, new story at Axios by a guy named Barak Ravid. For some reason, people of both parties like to leak to this guy, this Barak Ravid. I suspect it's some holdovers and something like that. Iran wants to explore interim nuclear deal in talks with the United States. Sources say, I hope we don't fall for this. I really hope we don't fall for interim deals, which just buys them more time and time and time and time. What are we going to do if they get a nuke? What are we going to do? It's too late to hit them then. I'll be right back. Don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless that comes with a lot of fine print, like requiring you to sign up for 4 lines plus activation fees, plus. And the end of the day, you've paid for that free phone 3 times over. Pure Talk is my sponsor, my wireless company. They have a much better offer. With a qualifying plan of just $35 a month, you can get a brand new Samsung Galaxy A26 for free. Now, this phone is virtually indestructible. Gorilla Glass captures beautiful wide-angle photos with next-generation camera lenses. All you need to do is switch to Pure Talk. For just $35 a month, you get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, more than you'll ever need, with mobile hotspot, all on one of America's most dependable 5G networks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch. Again, that's puretalk.com/LEVIN to claim your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan when you switch to Pure Talk. Wireless by Americans for Americans.
Mark Levin, the research arm of conservative media. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
Next hour, we have America's Governor Ron DeSantis with us. Good friend of ours here. Barak Ravid. If this is accurate, Iran wants to explore interim nuclear deal in talks with the U.S., sources say. Iran is considering proposing during talks with the United States Saturday that the two countries work on an interim nuclear agreement before pursuing negotiations over a comprehensive deal. A European diplomat and a source familiar with the issue thinking. Good, I guess Barak Ravid isn't particularly literate, told Axios why it matters. President Trump has set a 2-month deadline for negotiations with Iran on a new nuclear deal, and in the meantime ordered a buildup of U.S. military forces in the Middle East as another option if diplomacy fails. Why would we agree to this? To put it off? Isn't that the problem? They're looking for more time, and not a lot. And Trump's giving them a deadline. Let's have an interim plan. No interim plan. Dismantle your nuclear program. If a deal isn't reached, Trump could order a U.S. military strike against Iran's nuclear facilities or support an Israeli strike. So what's happening now is the anti-American, pro-Iranian mouthpieces, podcasters, subscription services, propagandists who go on social media and so forth, make videos of themselves. They're busy trying to lobby the White House, I'm sure. They're trying to lobby people who advise President Trump. They're trying to advise President Trump and lobby him and lobby J.D. Vance and others to tell them, no, don't do this, don't do this, no, don't do this. While you and I are watching this and know what the stakes are. We, Mr. and Mrs. America. Not this bunch of blockheads, this weird cabal of Soros, Koch, Quincy Institute, Insane Asylum Institute. The sources said the Iranians think reaching a complex and highly technical nuclear deal in 2 months is unrealistic, and they want to get more time on the clock to avoid an escalation. They want to get more time on the clock to finish what they started. The Iranians seem to believe that a sustainable deal is unlikely to be achieved in the time frame that President Trump has in mind. Folks, they've already been dragging their feet. Remember? No. That's like debating over the size of the table. We insist on an interim, not directly with the United States. We do this. This is the rope-a-dope that they've been doing and doing and doing. Might therefore be necessary to consider an interim agreement as a way station toward a final deal, says Ali Vaez, director of the Iran project to the International Crisis Group. The Iranian mission to the UN declined to comment. An interim deal, how would that stop the Iranians, an interim deal? Somebody just give me some, how would it stop the Iranians? In fact, what this suggests to me is they have no intention of stopping them. An interim agreement between the U.S. and Iran could include, here we go, the mouthpiece, the propaganda from Ravid. Suspending some of Iran's nuclear enrichment activity, diluting its 60% enriched uranium stockpile, and allowing UN inspectors more access to Iran's nuclear facilities. This is all the Obama crap. This is a redo. Experts told Axios these steps would only slightly increase Iran's timeline for developing a nuclear bomb, but they could help build trust for negotiations on a comprehensive deal. Now, what kind of a journalist writes experts told Axios? He went out and got so-called experts with whom he agrees, who told him what he wanted to hear. They could build trust for negotiations. I mean, my God, Joe Biden gave him over $100 billion directly and in lifting sanctions or not enforcing them. That didn't seem to build a whole lot of trust. It showed weakness. Could also involve extending the snapback mechanism that was part of the 2015 nuclear deal. That mechanism, which triggers UN Security Council sanctions against Iran if it violates the agreement, is set to expire in October. What are you talking about? So they're taking little bits and pieces, cherry picking from the Obama deal that Trump ripped up, that has brought us to the point we're at right now. Well, let's just do a little bit of that as an interim deal. Sure. Let's be suckers. France, UK, Germany told Iran they're going to trigger the snapback sanctions if a new deal is not reached by the end of June. An interim agreement would likely also include a demand from Iran that Trump suspend his maximum pressure campaign on Iran's economy. So look what we'd be giving up. The maximum pressure campaign for an interim agreement when the Iranians do not honor any agreement. They're already in violation of the Obama agreement. That is the UN agreement. An Iranian proposal for an interim agreement could also further increase suspicion and skepticism in the Trump administration about Iranian leaders' intentions and whether they're trying to buy time without rolling back their nuclear program. White House envoy Steve Witkoff, who's been all over TV. Oh, yeah, a lot of my colleagues love him. Is going to hold talks with the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Abagayabadabadu on Saturday in Oman. While the U.S. still says the talks are going to be direct, the Iranians maintain the negotiations will be through the Omani mediator. See, they're already debating the sides of the table. No. They're not direct. No. They're through Oman, the mediators. This is what I mean. The other side, on Thursday, the former head of Iran's National Security Council, Yabadabadu, who's now a foreign policy advisor to the Supreme Islamo-Nazi, said that continued military threats against Iran may lead to deterrent measures. He suggested Iran could expel International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors. Those inspectors have not been able to inspect for at least 6 months. So now they're making threats. Don't pressure us. I don't know. I'd wash my hands of this regime and say, okay, you're on the clock. You come to us. You show us how you've been dismantling your program, or that's that. That's enough. You fooled enough American presidents. You fooled enough foreign prime ministers and presidents. You fooled the UN. That's enough. We're not fools. We know what you're doing. It ain't going to happen. You're not going to get a missile, and that's that. Why, Mark? Because we don't want a bunch of rabid genocidal fanatics with a nuclear weapon that can kill us. That's why. It seems like a rational defense, don't you think? Yeah, I think so. Matter of fact, I know so. I know there's a cabal of morons out there who... And the forever wars. Yeah, there have been forever wars. This would not be one of them. This would be the shortest war in the history of mankind. That's what a nuclear missile is all about. They're not conventional weapons. They're nuclear weapons. And so you wouldn't have a forever war. You'd have a quick war, and we'd be dead. Is that better? I'm just curious. No, it's not better. And now's the time to speak out, America. If you believe that America needs to defend itself before Iran gets a nuclear missile, that is, if you oppose Iran getting a nuclear missile, now's the time to speak out. Now's the time to go on social media. Now's the time to push back against the maniacs out there, the cabal, and their trolls who go on social media, and obviously don't care if the Iranians get a nuclear weapon or not. What is it our business? Oh, I don't know. An intercontinental ballistic missile with a warhead? Why would that be any of our business? In a country that's led by a bunch of fanatical maniacs? Why would that be any of our business? That tried to murder our president? Why would that be any of our business? Who've said that they want to destroy America and Western civilization? Why would that be any of our business? Good point out there. Yeah, that's a good point. And then the idiots say how many of our troops would die. Actually, more of the Israelis, they would die. That's right. We're not going to have ground troops there. The Israelis do. Oh, so Israel's going to drag us into a war. And you, right, Mike? Mike out there? You know who I mean, Mike? Warmonger. As I've said over and over again, they're the warmongers. We're the good guys. Why can't these fools get it straight? We're the good guys. They're the warmongers. We're the small d Democrats. They're the terrorists. Yes. We are not a bloodlust. They are. See the difference? Even senators can understand what I'm saying, I think. Right, Mike? Well, maybe not. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Don't get suckered into the same old free phone game by Big Wireless that comes with a lot of fine print, like requiring you to sign up for 4 lines plus activation fees, plus. And the end of the day, you've paid for that free phone 3 times over. Pure Talk is my sponsor, my wireless company. They have a much better offer. With a qualifying plan of just $35 a month, you can get a brand new Samsung Galaxy A26 for free. Now, this phone is virtually indestructible. Gorilla Glass captures beautiful wide-angle photos with next-generation camera lenses. All you need to do is switch to Pure Talk. For just $35 a month, you get unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, more than you'll ever need, with mobile hotspot, all on one of America's most dependable 5G networks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch. Again, that's puretalk.com/LEVIN to claim your free Samsung Galaxy with qualifying plan when you switch to Pure Talk. Wireless by Americans for Americans. By the way, 9 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. You know what's on TV, Mr. Producer? Chicago PD on ION, ION. That's the cable channel, ION. One of my favorite cable channels. I have a handful of them. Chicago PD. That is a great, great show, 9 p.m. Eastern. I encourage you to keep an eye on that. Seriously. Check it out if you have. Folks, I'm not a TV, aficionado, but there's certain programs I really like. That's one of them. You might want to check it out tonight at 9 p.m. Chicago PT, again on ION. You're going to love it, I think. Especially all you NYPD and other cops out there all over the country, your families. But you don't have to be a cop to love this show. You're going to love this show. You are. Look, there's nothing in it for me. I like the FBI show on ION that they have. Unfortunately, they're taking the Reagans off, which I love that show, too. Very wholesome show with Tom Selleck and company. Chicago Fire, all the Chicago stuff. It's not, it's Chicago, but it could be any major city in America, really. It's just great. But Chicago PD is right up there. And the lead actor on there, I forget his name, he's unbelievable. It's just a great show. Can you tell I like it? What? I want to remind you, folks, that you can always listen to this wonderful program, right? Always listen to this wonderful program. We have our own YouTube channel. Just go to Mark Levin Show on YouTube. If you have your podcast platform, again, just look up Mark Levin Show. It's all free, and free again. Because we try to reach as many people as we can on many platforms as we can. We're also on, of course, Sirius XM Satellite. You can catch us on the Mark Levin app, the iHeartRadio app. We love our friends at iHeart and the other broadcast companies as well. You can get us from direct streaming pretty much on any station. We're ubiquitous. You can't get away from us. And, of course, our AM and FM affiliates, of which we're enormously proud. But if we're ever preempted, or if you just decide you can't get to your radio, or you want to listen to the show 2-3 days later, or if you're like my wife, she's running or exercising and she listens a lot on the podcast and so forth, you can do that too. I'm an old radio guy. When I go into the car, I turn on AM radio. That's what I do. Or the satellite. Turn on satellite radio. It depends where I am. That's what I do. But other people do other things. That's okay. We're here. We're dear, and we're in your face. That's not the right line, is it, Mr. Medusa? I don't think so. But it's the right line for us. When we come back next hour, America's Governor Ron DeSantis and a ton more. We'll see you in a moment.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. President Trump today. I know he had a cabinet meeting, and he had the press in there for over an hour. So I'm just trying to give you little tidbits here and there. But here's the president on tariffs this afternoon. Cut 6, go.
Well, I think it's very close, but, we have to have a deal that we like. We don't want a deal that's going to be a bad deal, or I could make every deal in one day if I wanted to. I could do this in one day. I could just say, here's what we'll do. And I was saying to the people before, mostly to Scott and Howard, and some of the other people that work with us on the negotiations. We have a lot of law firms that have paid me a lot of money in the form of legal fees. We're going to probably use those firms to, if we can, I think we can. I'll make a contribution to the country, but they're great firms. They're the best firms, the biggest, and really the most prestigious. And we may be using them to help you guys out, because you're going to need a lot of lawyers. And I'm not sure Pam's going to be happy if I say, can you send over about 200 lawyers that work on trade? She's working on criminal stuff, and I think that's going to be her focus more than anything else. So we'll find out if we can do that. But we have a lot of lawyers that you've been reading about where they paid $100 million a firm on average. Now we have the final 4 or 5 are at $125 million. So I have a lot of legal fees I could give to you people, and we might as well use them. Hopefully I won't need that many legal fees or that much. I may. Who knows? After it ends, after we leave, maybe I'll need it. But if I do, it's not going to be very pleasant. So I think we're going to try to use these very prestigious firms to help us out with the trade, because we have a lot of countries, but we want to make deals that are proper for the United States. Not just we can make deals easily. We want to make them proper.
See, his mind always working. He's always looking for inventive ways and new ways to do things. He's got these law firms that have had to pay penalties and so forth, and he's saying, we can use them to help us negotiate these tariff and trade deals. They have so many countries in here, and these deals get complicated, that this is what he wants to do, and I think it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Chuck Schumer, of course, is the Grim Reaper. He is the kiss of death to the economy, to our border, to national security, to everything. He probably will be primaried by AOC, and she might beat him. Now imagine her in the Senate. Imagine how horrendous that would be. Sort of a Bernie Sanders, about 400 years younger, in a dress. I don't even think she wears dresses. Maybe a pantsuit. I don't know. But here's Schumer today, trashing, of course, the Senate Republicans. Cut 9, go.
So in relation to some of this meat of the forthcoming bill, Senate Republicans are proposing up to $175 billion in new border security funding. And what are your thoughts on that sort of security investment?
Look, the bottom line is very simple. Their overall budget is awful. And it is huge cuts to Medicaid, to SNAP, to housing, to veterans, up and across the board, even cuts on Social Security when they indirectly hurt it, to give tax breaks to billionaires. And so
these are all lies. These are all filthy, disgusting lies. These people have learned well from their Marxist taskmasters, from their Marxist philosopher kings. Just keep lying, because that's the only shot you have. If you really told the people the truth about what you want to do and what you believe, forget it. Forget it. For them, the government's not big enough. So when you try to trim it, Notice they don't talk about where all the waste and the fraud exists and has been found. So they want to get rid of $100 billion in fraud in Social Security. So for Chuck Schumer, he's saying that they want to cut Social Security. You see what I'm saying? Medicaid, they want all the loafers, all the illegal immigrants off of Medicaid. That's effectively a welfare program for Americans who can't afford their health care. And so now by trying to get those people off of Medicaid, the Republicans in Schumer's propaganda are out to slash Medicaid. And we can go down the list. This is who they are, and this is the way they talk. It's outrageous. But they do it, and they get away with it because they have a media that's either too stupid or too ideological to confront them on these things. It really is that way. Why is Jasmine Crockett on CBS and ABC and NBC and CNN and MSNBC? Why? She's a nut. Absolute fruitcake. So why is she all over the place? Because the media like fruitcakes. They like AOC, Marxist. Ooh, they keep calling me Marxist. She means me. Bernie Sanders, Stalinist. You know, folks, it's an interesting thing. When the book American Marxism came out, my wife and I talked about this quite a lot. One of the things I was trying to do is to stop Republicans, fellow hosts, others from calling these people progressives, which is their self-identifying, their self-made nomenclature, and it's wrong. It's a fraud. They don't believe in progress at all. I said, stop calling them progressives, stop calling them leftists, stop calling them socialists. They're Marxists. They're American Marxists, and that's how I came up with the name of the book, really, when I finished writing the book. My current book, I came up with the name of the book right at the beginning. It just depends. They're American Marxists. Call them Marxists. President Trump started calling them Marxists. God bless the man. Now on TV, they start calling them Marxists. We're not going to win the battle of ideas. We're not going to win the battle of wits if we're not prepared to be truthful about not only who we are, but who they are. Who they are. It's very, very important. Now, we have additional commentary from the Democrats on the economy. Now, for some reason, they think they actually are smart about this stuff. They know nothing about this stuff. One of the biggest lowlives in the Congress is this guy, Dan Goldman. He served at the Southern District in New York. That's frightening. Another one. Frightening. So this guy, Goldman, he's on CNN. And I want you to listen to this guy. I want to comment on this. Cut 15. Go.
What I find quite remarkable is that the holdouts on the Republican side appear to be the more extreme right members of the House Freedom Caucus who are unsatisfied with the guarantees of spending cuts that exists on the Senate side of this bill. None of the moderate Republicans who are effectively going to vote to cut Medicaid if they vote yet again
for
this budget.
See what I mean? Absolutely unchallenged. It should be said to him right there by that so-called journalist. Why do you say they want to cut Medicaid when they're trying to stop people who don't qualify for Medicaid, illegal aliens, or they want to stop individuals who have no physical or mental issues, who are young, who can work? All you have to do is work 20 hours a week to qualify for Medicaid. Why do you keep saying they want to slash Medicaid when they're trying to end this abuse and this fraud? But you see, we don't have a press. We don't have a press. So utter, contemptible demagogues with low IQs like Dan Goldman of New York can get on there and say crap like this. Go ahead.
Seem to have a problem with it. The math does not work out, John. There's no way to...
The math doesn't work out, John. You know, we Democrats, who added trillions and trillions of dollars to the debt, even after the pandemic monies, added another $2 trillion. Biden wanted another $2.5, $3 trillion on top of that. Remember that, America? Remember it? We Democrats, every one of us who voted for massive debt, every Republican who voted against it, we Democrats, we're here to tell you the math doesn't add up. The math doesn't add up. Like these guys are mathematicians. These guys are flunkies. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have America's governor with us, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Welcome. Now, Ron DeSantis, you're a big golfer, too. You're a big athlete. You must be thrilled about what's happening this weekend, the Masters, no?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. It's a fantastic tournament. Of all the sporting events I've been to in my life, and I've been fortunate, we hosted 2 Super Bowls since I've been governor. I was at the national championship basketball game with the University of Florida in San Antonio to watch that on Monday. I've been to the College World Series, all these things. But I'd say the Masters is probably the best sporting event I've ever attended. It's just a unique venue, a unique competition, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it, to watching.
Have you ever played that course?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be able to do it. And,
it's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's there's only 2 sets of tees, Masters tees, where these guys are playing from, which is like a long way, and then members tees, which is a little bit more generous, about 6,400 yards. And so, for me, I usually play tees further back than that, so I'll hit some pretty big drives. But man, you get in there and approach to these greens, and it is just lethal. I mean, they're lightning fast. They've got amazing contours, so you got to have that short game if you want to do. And I've had times where I've driven the ball really well, and then just not scored as well. So it's a great test for these guys from that distance and those greens. And one thing I can say, Mark, the champion will likely live somewhere in the Jupiter, Florida area, because that's where probably like 3/4 of the top golfers are living nowadays. Between Dallas, Texas, where you've got Scheffler and Bryson, and then Jupiter, where you got almost everybody else. Maybe throw in Ponte Vedra Beach, where the PGA Tour's based. But I mean, it is like down where you are. That is like professional golfers' paradise.
And everybody's driving golf carts all over the damn place. Drives me nuts when I'm in my car. Just saying.
You should go next time your next book comes out. Go to the Villages retirement community. You've probably been there before.
No,
everybody owns a golf cart there, and so you've got tens of thousands of mostly very conservative Republican voters. They will love you and turn out for you big, and they get around. The default is your golf cart, not your normal car.
Let me ask you something. As a resident of Florida, I'm watching things that take place in Tallahassee, which is the capital of Florida. And what is going on with the legislature there? I mean, I feel like they're moving further and further left, moving further and further away from a solid agenda and so forth. Am I missing something?
Well, it's interesting. I think that the Florida Senate is working constructively with our administration, and I think they want to continue the success of the Florida model that's been the envy of the world. For whatever reason, the Florida House of Representatives has just gone on a very liberal tangent. We've really led the way in getting woke out of public universities, saying we're not going to have indoctrination, it's going to be education. We've eliminated DE&I. We did all that stuff, and it's an ongoing fight, Mark. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do, but we're very proud of those efforts. The Florida House of Representatives is trying to push a bill to reverse what we did to de-wokify the universities. They want to make our universities woke again. And I'm just thinking to myself, who the hell ran on that? None of these guys would have gotten elected had they done that. They're also, remember, I was on with you in January, the Florida House of Representatives was really the leadership there. They opposed my proposal to mandate that all state and local law enforcement cooperate with ICE for deportations and immigration enforcement. Now, there was huge blowback to them for that, so they eventually were willing to produce a bill, and we're now leading the country in that. They actually, in the Florida House of Representatives, joined with Democrats to overturn spending reductions that I put in the budget last June. We only have a couple months left in the fiscal year, and they're joining with Democrats to spend more money on pork projects. and you just think to yourself, what the hell's going on? But one of the influences, I think, that has been very, very nefarious is the influence of the liberal trial lawyer, the plaintiff's bar. Democrats, very liberal, but for whatever reason, the House of Representatives in Florida, they're running all these bills to enrich trial lawyers and to undo tort reform that has really helped Florida's economy and some of the markets that have been tough for us. And you think to yourself, who was campaigning on this? None of these guys were campaigning on it. So I think they've got a problem. One, their agenda has not been a conservative agenda. It's not been bold, and that's different from the three sessions previously where I had three different House speakers. But then you do all these things that they didn't campaign on, and they're doing the opposite of some of the things that we've done. And it just shows you citizens have to remain vigilant. I mean, I think a lot of people thought Florida had won all the battles. Mm-hmm. We were kind of the model red state. And it just shows you, like, all they really had to do was build off the success, and they seem more intent on sabotaging the success and working with Democrats and empowering the left. And that is unacceptable. And so we're not giving an inch on any of this. We understand it's important to fight for conservative values and principles, and to continue the good job that's been done, and to take it to the next level.
Well, let me ask you about this, so I don't have to take my time and Google it. Who is the Speaker of the House? Because the Speaker of the House, it would seem to me, has a lot of control. Who is that?
So his name's Daniel Perez from Miami, and what happens in Florida is we have term limits, which I'm a big supporter of, and so are you. And so what they do is they pick the speaker years in advance for each senior class, basically. And so my first 2 years as governor, we had a speaker. Then the next 2 years, there's another, and then another the next two, and then finally here with Perez in the last two. And so you basically have 2-year runs with this. And so this was picked years in advance, and then they kind of go in. But I think the current speaker, Perez, is a little bit different from the others because, you know, when he got sworn in November, he said he didn't have an agenda, that he wasn't going to detail anything that he was going to try to do. And that's just odd. Like, you know, you work to get this position. Don't you want to achieve big things? And it seems most of the things he's been motivated by are enriching the trial bar, helping the left on that, opposing me in a knee-jerk reaction, and then even opposing property tax relief. He's not been willing to support our efforts to do that, or to DOGE local governments, which I think is really important. And so, you know, this is what it is, but people just need to know that these guys in the Florida House of Representatives, and I think a lot of the rank and file probably would rather have a bolder agenda, but they're not willing to speak up. But this is not what you voted for. And Mark, the way I've learned in this line of work is if you just tell people what you believe, what you're going to do, you get into office and you do it. Even if people disagree with you, they will respect the fact that you said you'd do it and you did it. When you run under the banners of the Florida model and focusing on Florida success and taking credit for that, and then you get in and you do the opposite, then people, they don't like that. They don't appreciate that. So that's what's going on here. And I just think we have this massive supermajority, and they're not pursuing a conservative agenda.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to stay focused on this House in Florida. We have a break. I'd like to keep you over, Governor.
Sure.
I want to stay focused on the House and the Speaker because, you know, I have to be honest, I try and follow all this, but I doubt the people of Florida, the United States, have any idea what's going on here, that you have a rogue Speaker and a rogue House that is moving left while you're trying to hold their feet to the fire. I had no idea this was going on, so I want to look into this more. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
You know, Governor Ron DeSantis, during the break, I've been looking at what's been going on with this fella Perez. He really looks like he wants to sabotage your agenda on taxes and on so many other things. He wanted to sabotage your agenda on trying to work with the president, Donald Trump, on immigration. We remember that. But it looks like he's trying to position himself for statewide office by moving the Republican Party more towards rhinoism that is sort of center right to center left, the old sort of stuff that you defeated over the years. He's definitely trying to move away from constitutional conservatism. I mean, I see it here. And I think he feels the best way to do that is as Speaker of the House to oppose you and get friendly press. He gets a lot of friendly press, I see, too.
Oh, well, with the legacy media, yeah. I mean, these are liberal outlets, and he works very closely with them, and his staff does, to try to do hit pieces against things that we've accomplished that have been very, very successful. But, one of the things he's done is they've brought Democrats into the Republican conference, and so these Democrats are changing parties, quote unquote, but they don't discard their liberalism. And so he has a liberal Democrat from South Florida who opposed everything we've done for 6 years, all the major reforms, everything we've accomplished, from fighting crime to fighting the woke, to making sure we were open during COVID. I mean, you name it, she opposed it. And now she's in like a star position. She's pursuing a lot of stuff to help the trial lawyers, and she's one, and she would make a lot of money if some of this stuff happened. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, what does that say to like a rank and file conservative who has paid dues and actually voted conservative in the past? And then you have this Democrat that gets put in this starring role on one of these committees. And so it's really, really odd, what's going on. But yes, I mean, I think there's no question when you're in Tallahassee with liberal media, all you have to do is try to oppose me. They will absolutely treat you well. That's just the nature of it. Now, for most of my tenure here, no Republican ever wanted to be working with liberal media. I mean, they knew that they were hostile and that would make them look really bad, but that's changed under this current speakership.
Now, he wants to cut sales taxes, but he doesn't support your effort to help homeowners in terms of slashing property taxes. What's up with that?
Well, here's the thing. Floridians want relief from property taxes, and so I've proposed to do that, and then next year go to the ballot and have a constitutional amendment so you have protection against the property taxes. And we'll have to work out the details of that to make sure it's something that can pass with 60% of Floridians. But he's rejected doing property taxes, which is what Florida homeowners want. And this sales tax, a lot of that benefits the tourists and the Canadians and the Brazilians coming in. And I think what the ideal thing is to continue to offload more of Florida's tax burden away from Florida residents to visitors and non-residents. We just set a record for tourism last year, 142 million visitors to the state of Florida. When I became governor, they typically would get between 80 and 90 million. So we've just been smashing records. Well, let's capitalize off that. Let's give people the property tax relief. And so most of his proposal would end up benefiting people that are not Florida residents. And the thing about the sales tax in Florida, Mark, all the essentials are already exempt. So when you go to the supermarket, virtually everything you're buying in the grocery store is not subject to sales tax. Baby items, if you're raising kids, all the baby items, diapers, everything, not subject to tax. Medications, all this stuff. So in terms of somebody that's like, middle class, the property tax cut would go so much further than what he's proposing. But it's interesting. This is not anything he had ever talked about. He got sworn in as speaker, never mentioned it, and then all of a sudden he put it out a week or two ago. Why did he do it? I think he did it because I was talking about property tax. He doesn't want to support things that we're doing, and so he just pulled this out of thin air and is trying to run with it. But I've never seen a more negative reaction to a proposed tax cut than how people have rejected what he's pushing, because they say it doesn't make any sense to be cutting taxes on all the Canadians coming down here, all the foreigners that visit, all the part-time residents. We want the tax relief to go to our Floridians, our Florida residents, and the best way to deliver that is by cutting property taxes.
And people want to keep their homes. That's their biggest investment. I mean, that's the roof over their head. That's very, very American sort of thing. A lot of states use sales taxes to fund their budgets, particularly states that don't have an income tax. But you're proposing something here when it comes to the property tax that is so popular, some of these other governors are now picking up on it. It seems to me as I read this guy, Daniel Perez, he's just looking for fights. He's looking for ways to undermine you and to separate himself from you. He's got to be doing this on behalf of somebody in addition to himself. And he is all locked up with these trial lawyers, isn't he?
Well, that's for sure. I mean, I think he is put forth an agenda that is the Christmas tree for liberal plaintiffs' lawyers. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we had to work very hard for tort reform because Florida had just been overrun with lawsuits for so many years. And guess what happened? We did tort reform in 2023. 2024, nationwide, car insurance went up 20%. In Florida, it went up 5%. Now, it would have been better if it didn't go up at all, but it was much less than the national average. This year so far, the major companies are filing rates that are 5% reduction in auto insurance rates. No one thought that was possible. The only reason that's happening is because of the tort reform. He wants to undo that. So that's part of it. I think there's other, political machinations that kind of get involved with some of this stuff. But the bottom line is, are you in it to get the job done for Floridians? Or are you pursuing a different agenda? And I think the reality is, I stepped up at the beginning of the year, called a special session on immigration enforcement, Donald Trump's number one issue at the time with Republican voters, and things that we all campaigned on. And he rejected that, and he said that it was premature. He said you didn't need to do it. And if I hadn't have called the special session, we never would have gotten this done in a regular session. And so, there was a lot of blowback to that. They weren't representing the voters. And so eventually, we were able to get it across the finish line. But Mark, put yourself, if you were saying you're a conservative as a Speaker of the House, Donald Trump gets elected. Why didn't he call a special session immediately to do immigration? Why did I even have to do it? Why did he fight me on it? He should have been leading the charge on that, but that wasn't it. How come I'm leading the charge on property tax? Why doesn't he lead the charge on property tax? And so most of this is just opposing what we want to do, and it's not my agenda, Mark. It's the people of Florida's agenda. They're telling me about property tax. This is responding to what people want to see in the form of tax relief. So, we're going to continue to lead and do what we do. We're not going to give an inch on any of this stuff. But the reality is the people of Florida, they absolutely deserve better from their House of Representatives.
This fellow, this Speaker of the House, Perez, his district is in Miami. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Is it a marginal district, a Democrat district, a Republican? Do you know what it is?
No, it's a deep red district, heavily Cuban American. In fact, we were just down in that area today talking about condo reform. That's another thing, Mark. The legislature did a bill after the Surfside collapse, which was a traumatic thing that happened in South Florida, and they basically wanted to, prevent another Surfside. They didn't even know what caused Surfside at the time, and that has caused, even though it was well-intentioned, some crushing assessments on condo owners around the states. A lot of these are working-class people in places like Miami-Dade, not just luxury condos. These are blue-collar folks that are getting $50,000, $100,000 assessments because of this legislation. So I called a special session in January saying we need relief for people. He rejected that. The Florida Senate is now working on a package that's going to deliver relief. The House, they are not doing anything that will be meaningful for these people. And I'm just thinking to myself, I was down in his district talking to all these unit owners. These are salt of the earth people that are getting crushed from this legislation. So why not step up to the plate and make some reforms so that people are able to stay in their homes?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, as a Florida resident, I can tell America, the people of Florida couldn't be happier with what you've done in Florida for the last 6 years and what you're proposing with property taxes here. And to have somebody, I don't care what the hell he's proposing, to be perfectly honest with you, my property taxes, like everybody else's, are going through the roof because Florida's attracting a lot of people who are buying homes, and that drives up the value of the home. And a lot of these counties, a lot of these school boards in particular, with their boards of supervisors, they're driving up property taxes, driving them up like nothing I've ever seen. I originally lived in Pennsylvania. We have a home in Virginia, but what's going on in Florida and the property taxes, and you point out, that's a county matter, it's a local matter, but we need to step in and do something about it. And to have some guy out of Miami, I don't care who he is, Speaker of the House. He doesn't speak for me to step in and say, no, I have a better idea. We'll deal with sales taxes. What are you talking about? How the hell does that give homeowners relief or condo owners relief, even apartment dwellers relief? Because the landlords have to increase the rent on apartment dwellers. So he's not serious, is he, about real tax relief? At least I don't think so. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, Mark, if you ask Floridians, what do you want? Property tax relief, or to do the tax cut that will have a disproportionate benefit on tourists and non-residents, they will overwhelmingly and enthusiastically say that we need to do property tax relief. I mean, this is not anything that is rocket science. And the phenomena is just what you said. People have homes. Property values go up. They get reassessed higher. Even if you have homestead protection, it still goes up at least 3% a year. And so over a 5-10 year period, that adds up. But if you buy a new home, you got a high tax basis. I want to totally upend this whole system because I think it's ridiculous. I mean, you're basically paying rent to the government. And who's to say how much your home is valued? Until you sell and make a market transaction, you don't really know the value of the home. So, but the reality is this has been crushing for a lot of people. And yes, it's a local issue. That's why eventually we're going to have to do a constitutional amendment and put it on the ballot. But for this year, we can absolutely provide relief. And that's what people are asking for. And so, like, what I've learned in this business is, like, we have an obligation to serve the people that elect us. And when they speak clearly on something, you need to listen. And yeah, you find a way to do it within a conservative framework. I'm not saying you abandon that. And what could be more conservative than helping people stay in their home by relieving their tax burden? But what the House is proposing is not what people are asking for.
See, I believe in representative government, the consent of the governed. I voted for you. Almost 60% of the people in Florida voted for you in a massive landslide. I don't know who this guy is. Daniel Perez out of Miami. Yip-de-doo. The fact that he can sway and have this much power as Speaker of the House, to me, is absolutely unacceptable. The fact that I'm looking here on the internet, the fact that he's doing all these interviews and attacking you, the fact that he's doing all these interviews and promoting himself and trying to come up with his own agenda, this guy is, to me, he looks like, to me, a backbencher looking to become a frontbencher for a statewide race or more. I've seen guys like this throughout my life and my little experience in politics and so forth. I don't like guys like this. So I'm going to keep an eye on this guy, Governor, and I would like you to, from time to time, come on the program, not just about him, but about a lot of things, but also I want to stay on track on this because I'm a resident of Florida. And look, Florida is the beacon of liberty in this country. It really is. Every state now wants to be Florida, every red state. But Daniel Perez is the kind of rhinos that I had to deal with when I was in Pennsylvania and Virginia, working the Reagan campaigns and getting Reagan elected and so forth and so on. I've seen guys like this before, and they are a huge problem. And we want to wish you all the best, and we've got your back, Governor. We certainly do.
All right. Well, God bless you, my man. We will keep Florida free. We're not going to forfeit the progress. We've got to get the job done, and I appreciate all you've done to inform people about what's going on in the free state of Florida now and over the years.
You got it. God bless you and your beautiful wife and family. Take care. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
This Peggy Noonan is insufferable. Arrogant, snobbish, and insufferable. I've said enough. I want to do a shout out to my buddy Larry. He's my PT guy. He's made it possible for me to walk again. I'm being perfectly honest about it. This guy is unbelievable. He just is a top pro and a wonderful human being. And my surgeon, Dr. A, he knows who he is. I want to thank him for putting my knee and my quad back together again. It was a massive injury, and he just did a fantastic job. And my wife and my family for helping me out so much. And just sitting here thinking about it. 7-8 months ago, I was in a wheelchair, and they were rolling me under the desk here, and I couldn't even do the job. So I want to thank them all Folks, thanks for being here. I love you, folks. You're just terrific. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, our brothers and sisters in Israel, and you, the American people. Thank God for you. And I am blessed that you're there. How about we do this tomorrow? What do you say? I'll see you then. Take care.